Lord Krishna performed this sadhana every morning as his lifelong vow. Lord Rama, even Ravana recited the same mantra to please Lord Shiva. Famous Panchakshari mantra Om Namah Shivaya also came from this. There is no better way to Prayashchitta for the grave karmas we have performed knowingly or unknowingly. We are speaking about Shri Rudram, composed by Mahavishnu, approved by Lord Shiva himself. Shatarudreeya, or commonly we say as Shri Rudram, is a very ancient mantra, first found in Krishna Yajurveda. There are two parts to it. First part is Namakam, second part is Chamakam. Each section is called Anuvaka. There are totally 22 Anuvakas. 11 Anuvakas of Namakam, 11 Anuvakas of Chamakam. In Namakam, we are repeatedly saying Namaha Namaha, where we are doing salutation to Shiva. Chamakam is like a Falashruti, where we are saying Chame Chame, meaning be with me and grant me all this. Initially, Rudram was written as a stuti. However, according to Mantra Shastra, a verse must contain a deity, Chandas, Rishi, Bija, Kilaka, Shakti to qualify as a mantra. It might take a person's entire life to invoke a single mantra. Surprisingly, in Rudram, each verse itself a mantra. But how was this huge work done? Who did it and why was it invoked? It is not a sadhana of single Rishi. Over a period of thousands of years, in different circumstances, different sages invoked it. To get the whole picture, we need to connect the dots because the entire information is scattered across the huge ocean of Sanatana scriptures. The complete work you see in this series, research, sadhana, and every piece of information was collected by Om Swamiji, which we received during the 11-day Shri Rudram sadhana conducted by him. Anyway, if you want to understand the literal meaning or the verse by verse meaning, please check our pinned comment. Devas and Daityas were the sons of Kashyapa. For the sake of land, power, and wealth, there were always disputes among them. Daityas were always crude and self-centered. So Vishnu, as sustainer, knew that to take the creation forward, the attitude of Daityas wouldn't fit. So he always supported the Devas. On the other hand, Shiva was unbiased towards anyone because he was not worried about the sustenance of the creation. He is Bholenath. He gave shelter to all those who were cast out by the society. When the situation was like this, unfortunately, Devaraja Indra got into big trouble. For Indra's arrogance, sage Durvasa cursed him. You shall lose all the radiance and power. This was a good time for Daityas to overpower Devas. But now creation could tremble under their cruelty. At any cost, Vishnu had to step in. He instructed Devas, you need to churn the cosmic ocean to get the radiance back. Only nectar can restore you. But you can't do it alone. You need the power of Daityas too. Don't worry, I will make sure they won't get the nectar. When it comes to Shiva, he clearly knew the intention of Devas. So he stayed away from the entire project. A strange alliance of brothers was formed. They started to churn the ocean. The first thing arose was not nectar, it was Hala, a deadly poison. Only Shiva could contain it. With the instruction of Vishnu, Indra went to Kailasa and pleaded at the feet of Mahakala. Of course, as usual, our Bholenath melted and he drank it. After enormous effort, finally the nectar emerged. But here comes the Maya of Vishnu. He became Mohini and tricked the Danavas and gave all the nectars to only Devas. This incident became the major reason for the extreme rivalry we see throughout our scriptures. Okay, now think. Vishnu was always on the side of Devas. Bholenath was the only one who was unbiased. On the other hand, Danavas were cheated. So, in this situation, what will the Daityas do? Obviously, they will reach out to Parameshwara. If he is pleased, he can give anything to anybody. What if Shiva sends his army? What if he gives the Dhanus? Or what if he himself fight for them? In whichever situation, the Devas will be finished. This fear was in the minds of Devas constantly. At any cost, they had to please Shiva and get his blessings. Obviously, our sweet Kapatanataka Sutradhari, Vishnu, knew how to do it. Vishnu composed the entire stuti of Rudram. The ultimate goal was to please Shiva and get his Shiva Dhanus. That is why we hear these kind of verses repeatedly.
Pramunchadhanvanastvamubajoraartniyorjyam Yascha te hasta ishavah parata bhagavo vapa.
O Lord, loosen the string from both the ends of your bow. Put away the arrow from your hand. All the Devas approached Shiva and chanted this Shatarudreeya in front of Lord Shiva for the first time in the history.
Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya.
Not only that, he was pleased and gave up the greatest weapon he ever used. When we imagine Shiva, what comes into our mind? Shiva with a Trishula. But during this time, Shiva's weapon was Dhanus, not Trishula. So it is clear that the Trishula came later when he became Shankara. That's why Devas prayed for Shiva's Dhanus, not for the Trishula. One more interesting fact. As per the research of Swamiji, only Namakam was written by Mahavishnu during this time, and Chamakam was added later as Falashruti. Okay, now it is all over for Daityas, right? Because Shiva was pleased and gave away his bow. No, they were boiling with revenge. For ages, Devas and Daityas fought endlessly against each other. Neither side could truly claim victory. With every fallen warrior, their hatred only deepened. Then was born a mighty Danava, Tarakasura. Through intense penance, he obtained a powerful boon from Brahma. He could be killed only by the son of Shiva. Because at that time Shiva had lost Sati, he entered very deep meditation. No Sati means no son. With this calculated boon, Tarakasura trembled the entire worlds. The Devas had only one option left. They had to bring Shiva back into worldly life and arrange his marriage once again. That story itself is vast and fascinating. We have made a separate video on it, so do check it out after this. Eventually, Shiva married Parvati. From Shiva's divine seed was born Skanda, destined to end Tarakasura's terror. Skanda fulfilled that destiny, but even as the commander of the Devas' army, leading battle after battle, he witnessed immense destruction. Slowly, a doubt began to trouble his mind. He started to think about the Samudra Manthana episode. Can such a deception be justified? Finally, one overwhelming thought surfaced. Am I fighting for the right side? He wanted clarity, so he approached Lord Shiva with 3 questions. What the Devas did to the Daityas during the Samudra Manthana, was it truly justified? If it was not, did they perform any Prayashchitta? And if they did commit wrong, and how did they once again earn the blessings of Lord Shiva? Shiva only smiled and said, "The time will come, I will tell you then." But Skanda's mind would not rest. Question churned within him like Samudra Manthana. He turned to Mother Parvati, who knew everything. As she began to reveal the entire story, including the origin of Shri Rudram, Skanda listened and stunned in silence. Finally, he was filled with peace and joy. But after knowing the origin of Shri Rudram, a question arises in our mind. How was this stuti added to the Vedas and how did it propagate it further? We all know the famous story of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Lord Vishnu himself took the Varaha and Narasimha Avatara to destroy them. But there is a story behind their birth too. And that story became the reason for the invocation of first mantra of Shri Rudram. Kashyapa had two wives, Diti and Aditi. One evening during Sandhya Kala, the sacred time dedicated to Lord Shiva or Rudra, Diti could not control her desire. Even though it was an inauspicious hour for the union, she approached Kashyapa and they united. Because of this, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were born. Later, Kashyapa felt deep guilt in his heart. He wanted to perform Prayashchitta. So he approached his guru, Jaigi Shravya, seeking a solution. Jaigi Shravya gave him the sacred Shri Rudram or Shatarudreeya. Kashyapa then undertook deep penance and invoked 3 mantras from first Anuvaka. After this, he received such a great power that he could pacify any kind of poison. We can see the demonstration of this in the Mahabharata. It is worth asking, what is Prayashchitta? Is it something we do just to escape from sin? No. When we act against our conscience, deep regret fills our heart, which becomes hindrance to one's growth. To come out of this guilt, the Shastras have prescribed many remedies. Among them, Shri Rudram stands at the top. If you paid attention, you might have already been asking, Jaigi Shravya gave it to Kashyapa. But who gave it to Jaigi Shravya? When Skanda heard Shri Rudram and its history from Parvati, he was filled with joy. At that time, Jaigi Shravya visited Kailasa. He requested Skanda to share the divine knowledge with him. This sacred conversation is recorded in our scripture as Rudra Bhashyam. If we trace back the lineage, it becomes very clear. Skanda gave it to Jaigi Shravya. Jaigi Shravya gave it to Kashyapa. Kashyapa did his Prayashchitta by invoking 3 verses from first Anuvaka. Kashyapa then thought, this sacred knowledge must be preserved. It should reach future generation. It must not fall into the wrong hands. Sage Vasishta was his son-in-law and one of the revered Saptarshis. So Kashyapa gave it to Vasishta. From Vasishta, it went to his son Shakti Muni, from Shakti Muni to Parashara, and from Parashara to the great Veda Vyasa. Veda Vyasa was the one who divided the Vedas into 4 parts. But how Shri Rudram was added into the Vedas is an exciting story. Since Vedas were vast, one person could not master all the 4. So Vyasa entrusted each Vedas to different disciples. Among them, Vaishampayana received Yajurveda. Vaishampayana had a brilliant disciple named Yajnavalkya. He taught him the Yajurveda, which included Shri Rudram. But later a difference of opinion arose between them. Vaishampayana said, "You are not eligible to carry Shri Rudram forward. Return the knowledge back." Yajnavalkya then and there recited entire Shri Rudram and said, "Take back the knowledge. I will earn it myself." After this, Vaishampayana wondered, who is fit to carry this knowledge forward? At that time, the other students who had listened were present there. So he asked them to recite whatever they remembered. Many could recite only portion, but Kanva Rishi recited the entire Shri Rudram flawlessly from beginning to end. So Vaishampayana decided to entrust the Yajurveda to Kanva to carry forward. Thus, 2 divisions of Yajurveda came into prominence. Krishna Yajurveda carried forward through Kanva Rishi, Shukla Yajurveda later received by Yajnavalkya directly from Surya Deva. It is said that since Kanva Rishi repeated the mantras like the bird Titri, the Samhita came to be known as Taitreya Samhita. Today we find the Namakam of Shri Rudram in the 4th Skanda, 5th Adhyaya of Taitreya Samhita, and Chamakam in the 4th Skanda, 7th Adhyaya of the Taitreya Samhita. How strange it is! Just like the story, I am also repeating and sharing what I received from my Guru, Om Swamiji. During the Samudra Manthana, when the Devas and Asuras churned the ocean for Amrita, only one Asura, Swarabhanu, quietly slipped in and drank the divine nectar. In that very moment, he became immortal. But Lord Vishnu cut him into 2 pieces, which became Rahu and Ketu. Later, Rahu covered Surya and made him to lose his radiance. When Surya lost his radiance, it was a big threat to the entire creation. By that time, Kashyapa had invoked a few verses of Shri Rudram and its glory spreaded everywhere. Sage Atri, who was one of the revered Saptarshis, stepped forward. He approached Jaigi Shravya and received Shri Rudram. With that powerful chant, he protected Surya from the influence of Rahu and restored his radiance. That is why even in Jyotishya, Rudram is considered the best remedy to protect ourselves from the negative impact of any graha. Sage Atri invoked 4 verses, so he is a seer for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th verses in the 10th Anuvaka. As the glory of Shri Rudram spreaded across the world, it created a deep desire to do sadhana in the hearts of Pulastya Rishi. He approached sage Kashyapa and asked for the sadhana. But Kashyapa said, I have done this for the Prayashchitta, so I cannot give it to you, and also I don't think you are capable of receiving it. This was a strong rejection. Pulastya thought, what happened such that I cannot do it? At that moment, he decided, I will dedicate my entire life to this. I have to understand the sacred secret which pleased Bhagavan Rudra. With that burning desire, Pulastya approached sage Narada. As you know, he is a Triloka Sanchari. He was present when Vishnu gave Shri Rudram stuti to Devas. Narada said, I will definitely give it to you. I wish there would be more sadhana of Lord Rudra and more invocation of mantra. In the Kala Chakra, this episode is very important because if we observe carefully, sage Narada did not have any hatred towards Rakshasas or Daityas. Even Rakshasas did not have any such hatred towards him. If we analyze even more carefully, Narada was the brother of sage Kashyapa. Kashyapa was the father of both Devas and Rakshasas. So he was an uncle to all the Rakshasas as well. Prahalada was a great example for that. He was a Daitya, but Narada Muni guided him towards Hari Bhakti. Okay, both Narada and Pulastya knew these mantras needed to be invoked as soon as possible. Pulastya took the Shri Rudram sadhana and made it his lifetime goal to invoke the maximum number of mantras. He invoked totally 55 mantras in Shri Rudram. Invoking even a single mantra is a lifetime achievement, but he did it selflessly for the welfare of the world. I am sure what happened next will give you goosebumps. As you already know, Daityas were always cast out due to their nature, and Somali wanted them to be included in the Vedas and gain a good status in the society. So he made a master plan. He conquered the hearts of Pulastya's son Vishravas and married his daughter Kaikasi to him. From them was born a great Asuri Brahmana, Ravana. Now Somali didn't want him to just study Vedas and spend his time worshipping gods. So he trained him to become an emperor. Ravana grew very strong. He learned all the Tantra Vidyas Vedas, Jyotisha Shastra. Then Somali sent him to Shukracharya to learn Mrita Sanjeevini mantra. But Shukracharya said, "You are not completely asura. I am not sure you will have the same feeling towards them. What if tomorrow you show a soft corner to Devas? So I cannot give it to you." Now, Ravana had no other option. He performed very deep sadhana of Shri Vidya as well. But Devi said, to become an emperor, you need Shiva's blessings. So he started seeking ways to please Shiva and returned to Somali for advice. Somali thought for a moment. Ravana could not approach Kashyapa because Kashyapa did not have good opinion about Daityas. And what about Narada? Narada would just say Narayana, Narayana, and you will get everything. So the only option he knew was Pulastya. He was aware that Pulastya was performing a great tapasya of Shiva. Also, Ravana was his grandson. That is why Somali sent him to Pulastya. Ravana was well versed in Vedas. He served Pulastya with great devotion. This pleased Pulastya, and he thought, if there is someone in this world whom I know who can make Shiva appear again through Shatarudreeya, it is Ravana. But there was a technical issue. It was written by Mahavishnu. He intelligently added one line in Namakam, which says,
Ahigascha sarvaan jambhajan sarvaascha jatu dhanyaha.
That means save us from Danavas. So there was no way Ravana could chant it. So Pulastya said, you cannot chant the entire Rudram, but there is a solution for you. The last mantra of 11th Anuvaka, which I invoked, will help you. Even Devatas cannot escape from it.
Namaste no mridajantu tejan vishmojascha no dveshtitam vojam bhedadhami.
It means, O Rudra, place those whom we dislike and those who dislike us in your jaws. Ravana performed the Shatarudreeya sadhana and pleased Lord Shiva. Shiva manifested as Atmalinga and went along with him. So from this mantra, Ravana received Shiva's Atmalinga. Not only this, after killing Ravana, Lord Rama performed Prayashchitta by chanting the same Shatarudreeya. We all know the famous story of Ahalya from Ramayana. Ahalya was the daughter of Mudgala Rishi. She was extremely beautiful. Indra was mesmerized by her look and wished to marry her from the beginning. Mudgala knew the nature of Indra and his lustful mindset. He thought, I cannot give my daughter to him. She will not be happy if I do so. On the other hand, Gautama was a friend of Mudgala. He was one among the Saptarshis, great tapasvin, compassionate, soft-spoken, and lived a very dedicated life. So Mudgala married Ahalya to Rishi Gautama, even though he was very much elder to Ahalya. In Rigveda, he wrote around 85 verses in the first and fourth mandala. There he did the stuti of Indra, Agni, Ashwini Kumaras, and many Devatas. Gautama was considered the greatest authority of judiciary science. He wrote Nyaya Shastra. Even Indra used to consult him for the advices on the matter of justice. But even after Ahalya married to Gautama, Indra could not remove her from his thoughts. One day, when sage Gautama returned to his ashrama, he found Indra and Ahalya together. He got furious. I was writing hymns for him in Vedas, and here he is breaking my own house. So he cursed Indra to lose his beauty and suffer from leprosy, and Ahalya to become a stone. But after some time, when his anger settled down, a deep guilt engulfed him. He consulted his Ishtadeva Mahavishnu. So he shared his grief and asked for Prayashchitta. As a solution to this, Vishnu gave Shatarudreeya to him. Also, he promised to release Ahalya from her curse in the Ramavatar. So Gautama invoked 4th and 5th mantra of the first Anuvaka. After this incident, he almost stopped contributing to the Vedas. We find no reference of him thereafter. Devarshi Narada is a very unique sage in Sanatana Dharma. We always see him wandering everywhere, singing the glories of Narayana. But one day, a thought came into his mind. He went to Mahavishnu and said, Lord, I always enjoy Bhakti Rasa, but now I want to experience the stillness of Yoga Samadhi. Vishnu smiled and said, For that, you must do sadhana. Go to Shiva, he will guide you. Because Shiva is a master of sadhana. Narada approached Shiva to learn tapas. Mahadeva, I want to experience Yoga Samadhi. Devarshi, your mind is always studying Vishnu Bhakti. You do not need anything new. Just meditate on Mahavishnu. You may stay in Himalaya and make it your sadhana kshetra. After some days of sadhana, Narada reached deeper level of samadhi and tranquility of mind. If anyone are doing tapas, who becomes insecure? Yes, it was Indra. He thought, already Narada is very close to Mahavishnu. What if Vishnu hands over the entire Amaravati to Narada? So he went to Kamadeva, requested him to disturb Narada. Kamadeva tried his level best, but no arrows could reach Narada. Even Narada had attained peaks of spiritual siddhis. So Kamadeva got scared. What if he burns me with his power? So he fell at the feet of Narada and asked for forgiveness. Narada told, it's okay, go. A little seed of arrogance started to sprout in his heart. He straight away went to Shiva and said proudly, My tapas was successful. I experienced bliss. You know what? Even Kamadeva could not shake my tapas. He begged for mercy falling at my feet. Mahadeva, one was you and second is me. There is no one else in the world whom Kamadeva could not touch. Shiva smiled. Devashi, how can anyone come near you? You are an absolute brahmachari. There is no surprise for me hearing it. But don't tell this to Vishnu. I don't think it is appropriate. Narada said, As you say, my lord. But he thought, okay, Shiva is jealous of my achievement. Maybe he does not want the world to know that I am equal to him. Then he was very eager to share his achievement with Vishnu. Later, Narada went to Vishnu and repeated the same words. One was Shiva and then it is me. There is no third person whom Kama could not touch. Okay, that's great to know. Vishnu smiled and understood. Pride is sprouting inside Narada's heart. He was wandering again. He saw a very beautiful city, a clean and rich city. Amazing! I wandered the entire world. How could I miss this? Shilanidhi was the king of that place. He welcomed the great sage Narada with happiness and he praised him. We know that you are a great jnani. You know past, present and future. Please see our daughter's hand and say what is written in her faith. Narada looked at her hand. He raised his head to explain and he saw her face. Immediately, Narada melted away like butter in the fire. She has such a great fortune. She will marry a Triloki. Her husband will not be affected by Kala or Kama. He started to think in his mind. One was Shiva and then it is. So I can be the best fit for her. Arrange the Swayamvara immediately. That night, he desperately called out to Mahavishnu. O Lord, I have never asked you anything for myself. But now, just this one time, please give me Hariswarupa. Mahavishnu smiled and said, Okay, I will give you Hariswarupa. Narada was very happy. He went to the Swayamvara thinking, there is no one in the three world more handsome than me. When he entered the hall, Shiva's Ganas laughed at him. Everyone was giving him a strange look. He thought, I am so handsome, that is why these people are looking at me like this. But it was Vishnu's play. Hari also means monkey, so he gave him a monkey face. At that moment, Princess entered the hall with Varamala. Devashi was so sure she would come to him, but she garlanded another king. Narada's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. Who is this king more handsome than Vishnu? He looked at king. It was Sakshat Narayana himself. There was no end to Devashi's anger. At that same time, Shiva's Ganas laughed and said, Look at your face. Narada in fury saw his face in the nearby water pot. He saw that his face was like monkey's. Now he had lost everything. He cursed Shiva Ganas. He also cursed Mahavishnu, saying, You are cunning, cruel, selfish. Today you gave me monkey face and made fun of me, right? But there will come a day when you will need these same monkeys. There will come a day when you will feel the same pain of separation that I am feeling today. As usual, Vishnu said, So be it. Later, this also became a reason why Rama had to take the help of Vanaras to find Sita. In that moment, Vishnu's Maya was uncovered. There was no princess, no city, only Vishnu was standing in front of Narada. Suddenly, Narada realized his mistake. He understood he had grown arrogant. Bhagavan, whose glory I always sing, I cursed him. He begged for Prayashchitta. So Vishnu instructed him to chant the Shatarudreeya. Later, Narada did a sadhana of Shatarudreeya and became the seer of 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th mantras of first Anuvaka. When we think about Durvasa, always an angry sage comes into our mind. The name Durvasa literally means stay away. There is a reason why he became so. After the marriage of Shiva and Parvati, they were told to Shiva, It is very hard to contain your anger, O Rudra. Please keep it away. From the essence of his anger born Durvasa. But they decided to put this child in the womb of Anasuya, who was the wife of sage Atri. Somewhere in Durvasa's mind, he had a feel that he was abandoned by his original parents. He was also naturally not soft-spoken person. That's why he had to always lead a lonely life. Society values flowery words, right? On the other hand, his elder brother was Dattatreya, who was great, and younger brother, Soma, who was beloved because he was young. Altogether, it created a deep insecurity which resulted in anger. So always, when we see some people who are really angry all the time, it may be the result of their wounded heart. But here is a twist. One day, Durvasa received a marriage proposal from sage Aurava for his daughter Kandali. Durvasa told, You know me and my anger. I am not well suited for marital life. We are very sure you alone can handle my daughter because she is ill-tempered. She gets angry so quickly. I feel you are the best match. They got married. Both husband and wife are short-tempered. Even with calm couple, there will be arguments. But this was an exceptional combination. One day, when Durvasa returned home, Kandali was shouting in anger. Durvasa got even more angry. I curse you to turn into ashes. Immediately, she became a heap of ash. Once his anger cooled down, he was deeply regretted about it. What have I done? Entire life I was alone. I had only one partner. In anger, I have burnt her also. In deep sorrow, he decided to end his life too. At that moment, Lord Vishnu appeared and stopped him. She is not permanently gone. She will become a tree. You don't have to end your life. But still, Durvasa didn't get peace. He approached Atri and asked for Shri Rudram. Atri straightaway rejected because Shri Rudram is so powerful, which can destroy the world because of this anger. He told, for Prayashchitta, go and do Tirtha Yatra. I can't give you Shri Rudram. Durvasa was not the kind to give up. He went to Mahadeva himself and received Shri Rudram Sadhana. He invoked totally 52 mantras, who became only second one to invoke that much after Pulastya Rishi. In our society, if someone looks different or speaks differently, there is always some kind of rejection. And transgenders, they face this every single day. This is not something new. It was there even long ago. Our scriptures also mention this. In those times, they were called as Kim Purushas. The word itself is like a question. Is he a man? Even their name carried doubt. They were not allowed to perform any yajnas. They did not receive respect. Lord Shiva gave shelter to all those who were rejected and cast out from the society. They were called Haraganas, but the Kimpurushas did not find a place even among them. At that time, one sage stood against this inequality. He said, if they have received a body, if they are born on this earth, they also have the right to live with dignity. They have the right to perform yajna. They have the right to receive respect. That sage was Pulaha. He gave them shelter. That is why he was different from the others. But to make them truly acceptable in the society, there was only one way. They had to be included in the Haragana. But how to do that? During that period, the glory of Shri Rudram was on everyone's lips. So Pulaha first approached Atri, but Atri rejected his request. Then he went to Vasishta. Vasishta also refused, but he suggested you may receive it from Skanda or Mahadeva himself. Then Pulaha went to Skanda. Actually, Pulaha had done nothing wrong. There was no need for him to do Prayashchitta. Still, he chose to do it for the welfare of the world. Because in any society, if some person or some group is left behind, it slowly leads to the downfall of the whole country. Pulaha explained everything to Skanda and requested Shri Rudram Sadhana. Skanda appreciated his compassion. He gave him the entire 7th Anuvaka and one mantra from 10th Anuvaka. Pulaha returned happily. He began invoking those mantras for the welfare of the Kimpurushas. Around that same time, a king named Bhimak was ruling Vidarbha. He had everything, wealth, power, comfort, yet he felt something was missing in his life. He heard that Pulaha was staying there. So he decided to meet him and seek guidance. On his way, he saw a man sitting in deep sorrow. Once he had been a very rich man, but he was filled with pride and discrimination. One day, he insulted a Shiva Bhakta and received a curse, a severe disease. His name was Hemakosh. Hemakosh said, I am suffering because of my own wrong action. I do not know how to do Prayashchitta, so that this disease may be cured. Bhimak replied, I am going to meet Pulaha. I heard he is a great sage. If you wish, you can come with me. Maybe you will also find solution. Both of them went to Pulaha. Pulaha understood their suffering. He saw their sincerity and purity in their hearts. He was pleased and gave them the entire 7th Anuvaka. Bhimak and Hemakosh offered all their wealth and dedicated their lives to the chanting of 7th Anuvaka of Shri Rudram. Because of their great offering, They were regarded in the Vedic tradition as Yajamanas of 7th Anuvaka, and it is believed that the seer of 7th Anuvaka is Pulaha Rishi. Himavan and Meena had 3 daughters, Aparna, Ekaparna and Ekapatala. Aparna, who is also known as Parvati, was married to Shiva. Ekaparna was married to Asita Muni, one of the sons of Kashyapa. And Ekapatala was married to Jaigishravya. From Asita and Ekaparna, Devala Rishi was born. If you know the story of Gajendra Moksha, he plays an important role there. But that is the story for another day. Once Jaigishravya came to visit Devala Muni's ashrama. He stayed there for some time. Devala served him with great respect and politeness. It is mentioned in Mahabharata that many years passed like this. During that time, a doubt slowly arose in Devala's mind. What kind of a man is he? He does not speak much. He does not teach anything. Does he really have any siddhis? Or is he respected only because of his connection with Shiva? Jaigishravya read his thoughts. One day, Devala Rishi went to the rivers to offer arghya. To his surprise, Jaigishravya was already there. Devala was shocked. Just a moment ago, Jaigishravya was in the ashrama. How could he be there first? Devala quickly returned to ashrama. But Jaigishravya was already sitting there too. Wherever Devala went, he saw Jaigishravya there before him. Immediately, Devala fell at his feet and begged him, "Please tell me the secret of this Siddhi." Jaigishravya said, "I cannot give you this sadhana, but you may sit with me during my Nitya Karma." Jaigishravya was a great devotee of Shiva. All his life, he worshipped only Shiva, performing Shri Rudram sadhana. Devala listened carefully. He had such a sharp memory that he could remember everything after hearing it just once. In this way, he learned the entire Rudram by heart. But still, he did not receive the rite of invocation. So he went to Kashyapa and requested him. Kashyapa replied with the same answer, "I performed it for Prayashchitta, I cannot pass it on to you." Disappointed, Devala returned once again and fell at the feet of Jaigishravya, asking for guidance. Jaigishravya said, "Your mother Ekapatala can help you. See how difficult it is to receive a sadhana even for great sages." So Devala went to his mother. She said, "Aparna is my sister, I can request her." Both of them went to Kailasa and prayed to Ma Parvati. Through her grace, Devala received totally 6 mantras from 11th Anuvaka. With devotion and discipline, he began to invoke them. Mandavya Rishi spent his entire life worshipping Shiva. At one point, he took a vow of silence. At that same time, a thief was running away with the money stolen from the palace. The guards were chasing him. While escaping, he dropped half of the stolen money in front of Mandavya Rishi, almost like an offering. The guards reached there, saw the money near Rishi, and immediately assumed he was the thief. They dragged him to the palace and brought him before king. The king questioned him, but Mandavya, without breaking his vow of silence, only signaled that he had not done it. The king, however, was angry. He said, "Every thief says he did not do it." Without proper enquiry, they punished him. He was taken out and pierced with a sharp weapon. In that painful moment, he got the vision of Shiva. Shiva said, "You will soon be relieved from this. This was not meant to happen to you." Later, the real thief was caught. He confessed and explained everything that had happened. The king felt deep regret. He apologized to Mandavya Rishi and ordered the weapon to be removed. They tried to pull it out, but the part of it remained inside his body. Mandavya was in a great physical pain. But even more painful was the question in his heart: why did this happen to me? Whom did I wrong? Using his yogic power, he looked into his past 100 births. He could not find any grave karmas that deserved such punishment. Then, through his tapas, he invoked Yamadharma and asked, "What is the reason for this suffering?" Yamadharma replied, "You looked into your past 100 births. Go one birth further back. There, you will see that as a child, you once pierced an insect with a sharp object and felt joy with its pain." Mandavya became angry. He said, "What kind of justice is this? I was only 5 years old. What does 5-year-old child understand? I curse you. You will also be born as a human. Only then you will understand the realities of human life." Because of this curse, Yamadharma was later born as Vidura. But after some time, Mandavya reflected deeply. He thought, "Why did I curse him? He was only doing his duties. If the law itself was like that, what was Yamadharma's mistake?" He felt guilt for his anger. So, as Prayashchitta, he approached Lord Shiva and received Shatarudreeya sadhana. He invoked 2nd, 3rd, and 4th mantras of 10th Anuvaka with devotion. The story of how Kanva Rishi received Shri Rudram stuti is already covered when we explained how it is added to Taittiriya Samhita. But Kanva plays a very important role in our history. In fact, he became one of the reasons for the destruction of Krishna's entire clan. Bhagavan Krishna had a wife named Jambavati, and they had a son called Sambha. Once during Chaturmasya period, many great rishis had gathered there, like Durvasa, Kashyapa, Vishwamitra, even Kanava Rishi as well. Kanava was performing Rudraanushtana regularly. Because of that, he had attained a special power called Garbha Siddhi. With that power, he could tell what kind of child a pregnant woman would give birth to. One day, Samba and his friends decided to play a prank. They dressed Samba like a pregnant woman. They tied an iron pestle around his stomach so that it looked like a baby bump. Then they went to Kanava Rishi and said, "O sage, you have a great powers. Please tell us, will this baby give birth to a baby boy or a baby girl?" Kanav understood the prank immediately. He became very angry and said, "This same iron pestle will destroy your entire clan." The boys were terrified. They ran to Krishna Paramatma and told him everything. Krishna, who had already knew what was going to happen, calmly said, "Grind the iron pestle into fine powder and throw it into the sea." They did as he said. They crushed the pestle into powder and threw it into ocean. But one small piece remained. They ignored it and threw it that also into sea. The remaining iron piece was later found by a fisherman. He gave it to his friend named Jara. Jara was a hunter. He shaped that iron piece into tip of an arrow and dipped it in poison. One day while hunting, Jara saw something in the distance. It was moving like this. He thought it is the ear of a deer. He aimed carefully and shot his arrow, but the deer did not move. When he went closer, he saw that it was Bhagavan Krishna sleeping in blood. The arrow had struck him. In this way, Kanva's curse was fulfilled. It is also said that Jara was Vali in his previous birth. Vali was killed by Rama with an arrow. So in this birth, that karmic account was settled when Jara's arrow struck Krishna. This is how karma works. When Kanav heard the news, he was deeply disturbed. He thought, "Have I become the reason for Bhagavan's departure?" Feeling guilty, he went to Veda Vyasa for guidance. Vyasa told him, "You have been chanting Rudram daily, but there were still 2 mantras left for you to invoke properly. For your Prayashchitta, please invoke those mantras." From Vyasa, he received the proper rites of invocation. Later, Kanva became the seer of 6th and 7th mantra from 1st Anuvaka. All these verses of Shri Rudram was invoked as mantra by this time, but only one verse is still pending, which says protect us from Danavas. During Mahabharata period, Raksha Samskruti was not that prominent. They were already weak. Nobody felt the need to invoke it. So we have seen the story of how Shatarudreeya was invoked. But the very reason why Vishnu composed it for Devas was to get Dhanus from Shiva. But where did that go? When the Devas did the stuti in front of Mahadeva, he was pleased and agreed to leave the Dhanus. Imagine, for this stuti, Lord Shiva blessed them by giving up his greatest weapon. This was a huge thing. But question arises, who will keep this Dhanus forward? They chose to give it to human being, and there were two strong reasons for that. First, Vishnu was already supporting Devas, and they had Saranga Dhanus with them. Second, Lord Shiva had no much confidence in the Devas. If the Dhanus remained with them, they might have misused it, or at some point, the Rakshasas will definitely defeat them and take it away. During that time, they saw a righteous king who was filled with great qualities, so they agreed to give it to him. That king was Devarata. He is the ancestor of Janaka Maharaja, who was the father of Ma Sita. Devarata was a great devotee and also known as a Raja Rishi. The Shiva Dhanus was very heavy, that they had to arrange very large transport to bring it. Lord Vishnu was so confident that no human could lift it. Still, when he took the form of Parashurama, he visited frequently and protected the Dhanus. When Devarata received the Dhanus, he asked Vishnu, "How can I worship it?" Vishnu said, "Nothing special. As usual, offer flowers." This is the Dhanus that Sakshat Shiva himself has touched. This is greater than what I normally worship. I will not feel satisfied with the ordinary procedure. Then Vishnu gave the Shatarudreeya sadhana to Devarata. He performed Shatarudreeya not for the Prayashchitta and not for any personal wish, but with deep devotion throughout his life. Later, when Vishnu came on earth as Lord Rama, he lifted the Dhanus and broke it during the Swayamvara of Ma Sita and married her. We have heard the stories of how Shri Rudram became mantra. So let's summarize everything. Lord Vishnu composed the Shatarudreeya as a stuti, and the Devas chanted it to please Shiva. Ma Parvati gave it to Skanda, Skanda gave it to Jaigishravya. From Jaigishravya, it went to Kashyapa and also to Atri. Kashyapa invoked it for Prayashchitta, while Atri invoked it to save Surya from Rahu. Later, Kashyapa gave it to Vasishta. Vasishta gave it to Shakti Muni. Shakti Muni gave it to Parashara, and Parashara gave it to great sage Veda Vyasa. Veda Vyasa also gave it to Vaishampayana, his disciple, and Vaishampayana gave it to his disciple Kanva. Later, Kanva Rishi included it in the Taittiriya Samhita of Yajurveda. At the same time, Narada received it from Mahavishnu and invoked it for the Prayashchitta. Pulastya received it from Narada Muni and invoked it for the welfare of the world. Pulastya also gave it to Ravana. Durvasa received it directly from Mahadeva himself and invoked it for the Prayashchitta. Pulaha received it from Skanda and invoked it for the welfare of the Kimpurushas. Devala received it from Ma Parvati and invoked it for Siddhi. Mandavya received it from Shiva and invoked it for Prayashchitta. Kanva also invoked it for Prayashchitta after receiving it from Vyasa. Mahavishnu gave it to Gautama and Devarata. Gautama invoked it for the Prayashchitta, while Devarata chanted it regularly to worship Shiva's bow. In short, Kashyapa, Gautama, Narada, Durvasa, Mandavya, and Kanva invoked it for Prayashchitta. Pulaha, Atri, and Pulastya invoked it for the welfare of the world. Devala invoked it for Siddhi. Devarata practiced it throughout his life with pure devotion. Ravana chanted it to receive Shiva's Atmalinga. And finally, in our time, Om Swamiji did the full research and sadhana. We are Katha Mandira, the temple of Puranic stories.